belong to me. I know you belong to somebody new, but tonight you belong to me. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, how are you? So, um, you know what? While I'm waiting for people to show up, I'm gonna see if I can find something. The Guitars Serenade. Okay, yeah, whatever. Oh, the Guitar Serenade was in Gyakuten Meets Orchestra 8. Cool. High quality Guitar Serenade? How'd this... Apollo Justice Ace Attorney HD? What? Wait a second, why the fuck am I playing this game? HD? Wait. Oh, it's on iOS and Android. Huh. It's kind of cool. Hello, everyone. We'll just get going in a second here. Children of Morta was really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed Children of Morta. I played a little bit more of it. I finally beat the Golem boss. I managed to do it with Kevin. Still haven't unlocked Mark. Waiting on him. But I saved a god. And then now I'm looking for a new god. Which looks like it'll be fun. Sorry, chat is closed. Time to find another stream. Oh. So, I haven't been able to see you guys this whole time. Yeah, Big Suck at Sing. D&D's should be happening tomorrow. Assume I don't get like butt blasted for some reason. Alright, let's hop into it. Whew, here we go. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. Good morning.
So, you're, Vera, right? I'm Trucy. Trucy Wright. That's right with a W, but not right, right? We're on your side. You can tell us anything. Please? Good morning.
She speaks.
Not bad, not bad. But I think you do better with a little smile, you know? You're so pretty, you need to sell yourself, you know?
Wow, my voice is not holding up right now. Uh-oh. Trucy, let's take it easy for starters.
Thank you for taking my case.
Okay, well, that's a start, I guess. There she goes with the nail polish again.
That's great, really. It's so cultured. Want to try? Ooh, really?
Ugh, girls. Yeah, what a bunch of fucking losers, right? The victim, Drew Misham, was a forger, and a stolen painting was found in his studio. A life of crime, really. And maybe one that led to his death. Jesus Christ, what isn't the setup? Okay, so the really important thing that you have to know is that this is a fake real trial, question mark? So the secret mission that Phoenix has been on this entire time is setting up a new judicial system called the jurist system. And this trial is meant to emulate that, except they're using a real case. And I'm the defense attorney, obviously. To sum up what happened, this guy's dead. This girl's the defendant. Apparently poisoned him. This guy's fucking weird. That guy's back. But more importantly, this is an envelope from Trucy's dad. There's atrocanine on the coffee mug, on the rim, not in the drink. This was on the envelope on the victim's desk, contained 2 sheets of paper for paintings. Apparently they're forgers. And then you have hidden paintings. There's a hidden painting that was stolen, some fucking letterbox, tiny file, I don't give a shit. The important part is these. Oh, they don't show it. Interesting. The important part are these 3 paintings. These 3 paintings. This one features a hand of cards. This one features someone pulling a cart, a noodle cart. And this one features someone on fire on top of playing a guitar on top of a big tower. Which, to be honest, scared the ever-loving fuck out of me when I saw it. So we're going to see what happens. Because apparently there's a lot going on here. But I don't know what. Yeah, another stream, bro. What else am I going to do on a fucking Sunday?
Well, we will now begin the trial of Vera Misham.
Is the judge okay? His voice is all raspy and he's looking around all nervous like.
The repercussions of today's trial will most likely be felt for a long time, and may indeed alter our legal system forever.
Today is a test of the jurist system. It's the first step towards a new order in our courts.
Daddy's secret mission.
The jurists will function like a jury. It is hoped that our inclusion will help the courts to better reflect the people's will. Why aren't there any jurists in the courtroom? 3 closed-circuit cameras watch this courtroom at all times. The jurists have access to everything that transpires. Jurists! Judge Well and Judge Cool.
Now, see here, Prosecutor Gavin, I was going to say that.
Ah, my apologies there, Judge.
Jurists, today, judge today's trial coolly, if you would be so kind.
The jurists are unbound by the letter of the law. They don't affect the trial with evidence, but by their feelings. And we're about to find out just what effect they're going to have.
Very well, Prosecutor Gavin, the details of the case, if you would.
The victim is the painter Drew Misham. He was killed in his own studio. His coffee was poisoned. By whom, you ask? By none other than the defendant, Vera Misham. There wasn't any poison in the coffee. Achtung. Someone has been doing their homework. Indeed, poison was not present in the coffee, but on the mug itself.
The mug, residue was found on the rim, I see.
The autopsy report describes the manner of our victim's death.
Court accepts this as evidence. According to this report, the victim's death was caused by atrocanine poisoning.
In chemical compounds that does not occur naturally, lethal dosage is a mere 0.0.002 milligrams. A touch of atropine in the body is a touch of a reaper's size.
Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. You may present your witness.
I have for you today a simple man for a simple case. Am I to witness a murder in its entirety? That journalist, no doubt. The witness will state his name and occupation. Alright! Well, for starters, my name's Spark Bushel. My job is a lone observer of the world. In other words, a freelance journalist, right? If you don't mind, I'd like to state something here for the record.
Yes, Mr. Bushel.
I dislike conclusions, specifically the jumping to aspects of conclusions. Preconceptions make park sandbox of endless desert waste. End quote. But you're a journalist. You said so yourself yesterday. Oh, that's true, yes. But you must understand I stand before you today with a man with a dream. I'm offering you my testimony in exchange for exclusive rights to the story. Scoop turns Mr. Bushel into that Mr. Bushel. End quote.
Let's hear your testimony then, shall we?
A simple case, eh, Gavin? For me, the jury is still out. I visited the studio around 9 o'clock that night to do the interview. The first outsider entered the atelier. What? Atelier. Journalistic history made. End quote. His daughter brought us coffee right after we started. And you know what happened next? Star falls. End quote. No one else entered the room besides her the whole time.
That does sound like a simple case. Unless you were the one who poisoned him.
What are you saying, Judge?
Need I remind you, the cameras are rolling today. I felt the need to be a bit dramatic.
You didn't do it, did you? Do a thing like that? Come on, that's like, making the news, end quote. We're in contemporary witch hunt, end quote. I know, wild accusations, rock courtroom, end quote. Rock, indeed. Prosecutor Gavin sure looks like he's having fun. I'm so happy for him.
Very well, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination, please.
I visited the studio around 9 o'clock that night to do the interview. Okay. Brought us coffee right after we started. You know what happened next? Star falls, end quote. No one else entered the room besides her the whole time. Where's our autopsy report? Yeah, okay. Let's just start pressing, I guess. 9 o'clock at night. Isn't that a little late for an interview? The great painter Drew Michon says come at 9. Believe you me, I go at 9. The first, as it turns out, last interview with such a prolific painter. Right. Can you tell us what it was like when you arrived? Ooh, hiccups. You were the first reporter ever in Drew's studio. Posterity will look back on that night as a turning point in journalistic history. A basically insignificant step for all mankind, but a giant step for that Bushel guy. End quote. If no one on the outside ever had access to the studio, then it would serve to reasons that the deed was done by an insider. By which he means Vera did it. So how did this epoch-making interview go? Would you mind being a little more specific? Wait, let me tell you, I enjoy a cuppa. In fact, it all began when I was in the 3rd grade. No, wait, in 4th grade. That's not what I meant. Will even over there the forehead is driving it. This coffee the victim preserved. Did anyone other than the defendant touch it? Right, that. That's what I was gonna say, really. Well, now, if you got a question to ask, you best straight up ask it. That's what I tell all the new recruits several times if necessary. Right for a grade schooler. That's my motto. Which isn't to say I can only write grade school level stuff. Who touched the coffee? No. I was in the back looking at the studio's equipment when she served it. And what happened next? What's this about a star falling? A star falls. It's like an old telegram. Send money. Over. Zoe, you don't know? That's like a journalism code word. An important personage passes away, a star falls, get it?
But there's no gravity in space, is there? I wouldn't think stars could fall, really. Does this matter?
Oh boy, this is good stuff, good stuff. How about star breaks? Nah, lacks punch. I know, star dies. Nah, lacks imagination. Of course you could go with Drew dies, straight to the point, I like it.
I think we need to hear about something a little more substantial.
About when Mr. Misham passed away. Oh boy, what a scene that was. He put his coffee mug down with a crash, right? Yes, and then the cold finger of death touches his spine. Life's flames, sputters and fails. So cold was that touch, he could do not but tremble uncontrollably. Actually, life's flame is a little tired. Life's river froze over. Yes, that's a go.
I think he's starting his article already.
Could you describe that a little more simply? Well, as you can imagine, I was pretty surprised. He hit the floor, as they say. Artist seizures, final performance. End quote. Atrocanine paralyzes the central nervous system. The body arches like a barrel ball, the limbs tremble, the throat burns. That's quite enough of that. Some of us want to be able to sleep tonight. Oh yeah, well, I want details, lots of juicy details. As that you can listen to our last year's hit single, Atrocanine, My Love, by the Governors. Available at all your major music outlets, as well as Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. The point here is that the victim died of atrocanine poisoning. Well, Mr. Justice, how did you find that testimony? Well, as an account of the moment of the victim's death, I'd say it's very important. Please add it to the testimony. Very well, the court requests the witness add this account to his testimony. No? Okay. Your Honor, I'm trying to voice it. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. So it's supposed to be slow acting, which is weird. Because it sounds like they're making it sound like it was pretty immediate. You say it was definitely death by poison. How can you be so sure? Hey, look, I'm a journalist. I've seen lots of things, and I've had more than my share of experiences with so-called poisonings. Man eats fishy fish, goes bye-bye. End quote. Food poisoning doesn't count. Should I get him to talk about something else? Yeah, I definitely need to pick something else. So you drank the coffee that Vera served you, too. Of course, when someone serves you coffee, you drink it. That's what my old boss always used to say. Never did get what he meant by it, though. But you're still alive, which is to say you didn't die. Of course not. No point falling before you're a star. End quote. That's not exactly what I was getting at. But what you getting at, then? You know the poison was on the rim, not in the coffee. Oh, yes. There were 2 cups in the tray she brought. And one of the cups had Drew's signature painted on the side. No chance the guest would take that one by mistake, I guess. Well, Mr. Justice, was that testimony important? So Brushel drank the coffee too. Doesn't look like this is going to lead to much. Very well, please continue with the testimony. Ugh, what are we going to do here? You say Mr. Misham had the coffee too, but did you actually see him drink the coffee? Of course! He who sees it wins, but he who says it wins bigger. End quote. I live in a man sees dog eat dog and writes about it world yet. I guess I can't say I saw him drink it, really. He had one so-called sip, if that. Man puts lips to mug, drinks, end quote. That poison is quite virulent, I hear. My stomach did a so-called somersault, since I'd gulped down that coffee without so much as a second glance to get at it. Wait, maybe something's there, some kind of so-called trick. Anyone want to venture a guess for the record? Does this guy have a pause button? Well, Mr. Justice, did you find that testimony valuable? The victim drank his coffee, then immediately fell over. Oh yes, you can go to press with that one. Your Honor, this is a vital piece of information. Please add it to the testimony. Very well, the witness will add this to his testimony. Vital, right? I think this was supposed to put the poison on. So he either took a sip or he didn't, and then fell over. Oh yes, indubitably, just like that, wham bam. So Mr. Misham drank the coffee and fell over immediately. I think Brush was telling the truth, too. Should I get him to talk about something else? No need. I think we're on the right track. Problem with the testimony is already pretty obvious.
Objection!
Really? That's slow acting. What? Oh, did I go on the wrong one? There, okay. I messed up. You know what I have a problem with? A particular property of the poison used, atrocanine.
However, Prosecutor Gavin was quite clear about the poison. Lethal dosage of 0.002 milligrams paralyzes the central nervous system. If you drank that, even you, Mr. Justice, would be reduced to a quivering pile.
Why are you using me as an example? Unfortunately, we weren't told everything. There was a vital omission in Prosecutor Gavin's information.
An omission?
Atrocanine is as virulent as he says, but death doesn't come upon ingestion, not immediately. That's because atrocanine is slow acting.
Slow acting?
What? According to one forensic scientist, it's one of the most virulent poisons, but it is absorbed into the body astonishingly slowly. It takes at least 15 minutes from the time of ingestion for adverse effects to show. If we suppose that the moment of Mr. Misham sipped the coffee was when he sealed his fate, then he would still have time left to enjoy his last cup of joe. Holy shit, that dude's thin.
Order, what is the meaning of this? If what the defense says is correct, why? That contradicts the entire testimony we've just heard.
Well, Mr. Brushel, anything to say? On the record. Slow acting. S-L-O-W-A-C-T. It was virulent, alright. Even then, it had already begun digging its claws into the journalist. He's working on a scoop. It's Brushel, yeah? Brushel, let's take a trip back down memory lane. Huh? Did the victim really die the instant he took a sip? Think it over. This is vital. You know what I think? I think that was a not-so-subliminal suggestion. I admit it does cause a problem if he died when you say he died. I would be forced to say auf Wiedersehen to my simple case. And you would be forced to say farewell to your article. Come again? You can't write a story based on conjecture, can you? And as the case drags on, other reporters will pick up the scent. And you'll be forced to kiss your exclusive scoop goodbye. Scoop! What the fuck? Ew, that's fucking unsettling. Look, wait, just wait a second, 1 second.
We're waiting, out with it.
I think I just recalled the so-called important detail. A revival of recollection, end quote. A story's survival, end quote. Attorney utterly confused, end quote. Actually, I did notice something when I visited the studio. I'd heard of poison that takes its sweet time, see? But not what I've been saying for the last few minutes, apparently.
Mr. Brushel, are you saying you noticed something that explains what happened?
You bet I am. The antidote for a poisonous contradiction. End quote, you might say. Or I still have no idea what you're talking about. End quote, I might say. I figured it out, but only after an in-depth interview. See, thanks to my journalism skills, I know who poisoned that coffee.
Order.
So as I can tell, the witness is standing by his testimony. He said Mr. Misham died the instant after he drank. Of course I'm standing by my testimony. My dream of exclusive rights to this story. Ugh. I suppose it was too much to hope for. What was? Of course he wouldn't choose a simple case, not him.
Him?
Phoenix Wright, who else? Achtung, Herr Brushel, report for us if you would. What is it you noticed?
This court is a critical trial of the justice system. I'm afraid no room for doubt is permissible. You will testify to the court about what you noticed.
What Brushel noticed? When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk. He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope.
I thought nothing of it at the time, of course. Now that I think about it, what if he was writing a suicide note? My suicide note. Yes, he had this look on his face. Man's face is screwable as a quadratic equation, end quote.
Suicide? Poor Mr. Misham. But that means Vera is innocent. Would someone commit suicide in the middle of an interview? Oh.
Very well, you may begin your cross-examination.
So he was writing this. No, he wasn't writing this. What happened to the... So he put the letter away when he saw you.
Early reporter gets worm, end quote. That's my secret.
I'm not sure I follow.
It's the night of the interview. I arrive 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The handle turns, the door opens, and I barge in.
Are you sure that's okay to do? I mean, isn't that unlawful entry, really?
Mr. Misham sure seemed to think so. You should have seen him. He crammed his letter into the yellow envelope as fast as he could. I knew a secret when I spot one, and that was one. It does seem significant. Well, Mr. Justice.
Wonder. It does have the ring of something important.
The defense finds this testimony vital, Your Honor.
Very well, please add it to the testimony then.
Why not? My account comes free of charge.
Why don't I have that envelope? And you saw him seal this yellow envelope with the letter.
Hey, don't look at me like that. I saw what I saw.
Paula, you think this might be our big break? Yeah. But I need to show some decisive evidence now. Oh, let me hear that again. So seal this with the letter. You didn't think anything might be wrong at the time.
Hey, when I go in for an interview, that's what I'm there to do. Interviewer finds looking more effective than caring. End quote.
So what about now? Thinking back on it, did you sense anything strange in Mr. Micham's behavior?
Well, yeah, that's why I'm telling you all about all this to begin with. Very well, continue with your testimony. Now that I think about it, what if he was writing a
Okay, I'll do that. A suicide note?
Well, yeah, don't quote me or anything. I'm just saying it's a possibility, you know?
So you didn't actually check the letter?
Of course not. It was sealed. Contents of can unknown until can is open. End quote.
You can always check the label. Do you think Mr. Bicham was writing a suicide note? If he was, that would solve the case in a jiffy. It kind of makes me wonder about that letter. As it just so happens, there was a single letter in a desk drawer at the scene. In a red envelope.
What? What the fuck?
Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know if I can just get over that. I don't think I can just get over that. I don't think I can move past it. Prosecutor Gavin. Yes? Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, no. But their forehead. It's easy to mistake the color of an envelope. I guess. But not this envelope. You see, it was postmarked already, 7 years ago.
Well, Mr. Marshall?
I can explain that. Drew, right? He wanted to get that letter in an envelope pronto. Get it out of sight of my beady eyes, right? So he grabbed the nearest envelope and crammed it away. What about the whole red and yellow envelope contradiction, chump?
Well, Mr. Justice, have you anything to say to the witness's claim?
That night, the victim put a letter he had been writing in a red envelope. That's impossible. Ah, I like your expression. So full of confidence. It's simple, really. As it just so happens, the defense team investigated the contents of this envelope with the assistance of a forensic scientist. But note that this letter is addressed to Drew Michon.
Oh?
Why would he address a letter to himself? Let alone send a suicide note to himself.
I've been scooped!
God, that's fucking disgusting.
Order, order! Mr. Brushel, can you explain this to the court?
Oh my, how could I have forgotten? I suppose this happens to the best of us. Reporter gets old, forgets lots, end quote.
I'm still waiting for an explanation, Mr. Brushel.
Whoa. What? Why is this song playing? Like, I'm not mad, but why is this song playing? We haven't heard this song since Game 1. This was a Game 1 song. I'm pretty sure. I want to say this was the song that plays when you meet with Larry in Case 1-4. Well, that's the thing, see? After he puts his letter in that envelope, Mr. Michon sat there searching his desk drawer for something. His desk drawer? Yes, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp, end quote.
A stamp, whatever for?
Well, to mail his letter, what else? And then, why yes, I think I saw him put it in his letterbox. Yes, it was a yellow envelope, and he put it in that box.
Well, apparently this yellow letter has nothing to do with this case.
Oh, wow, I wish it did. Just think if that were a suicide note, what a story. Star writes suicide note in front of reporter, false, end quote.
As I was saying, that has nothing to do with this case. That said...
Yes, Your Honor?
It makes me wonder about the contents of the red envelope.
Deposit the 100,000 in the designated letter, please send the receipt, yada yada. Sign the papers and send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days.
100,000 is quite a good deal of money.
So this was from 7 years ago, yeah? So am I finished here? I mean, am I finished here? I was thinking of, going home to start writing. I hate to state what should be pretty obvious to anyone, but when you catch the scent of a story, you make that, rather unique face. Ah, come on! Attorney has active imagination, little else! End quote.
Even I noticed something, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about.
Judge has active imagination, end quote.
Please continue with your testimony. Please tell us about the scent of a story.
Hey, I'm the one asking the questions here, usually. I hate this guy. Actually took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. Report leverages story, gets his interview, end quote. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. That red envelope probably has something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. I cannot wait for this guy to be done. Oh my god. I'm killing my fucking voice.
So you threatened to go to the press with this story. That's how you got your interview. Blackmail.
Well, yes. I mean, no. It wasn't exactly black. I mean, I'm not.
Something wrong, Mr. Bushel?
No, look. This is my story. My tidbit. Journalist info is livelihood. End quote.
I see.
Well, you have me chatting away in here. What's going on out there? What if some Wally Wordsworth or Sally Scooper gets wind of my story? They could be going to press while I'm going to waste.
This court feels your pain, Mr. Bushel. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace.
Certain case 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago? Actually, it took a bit of work to get thumbs up on the interview. Reporter leverages story, gets his interview. End quote. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. That red envelope probably had something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare.
That testimony left a bad taste in my mouth.
It all makes sense. Nothing jumps out as ridiculous.
I wonder what this story he's talking about is. It must have been good to get an interview with a famous recluse like that.
Something powerful enough to drag Drew Micham out of hiding. I wonder. Maybe it had something to do with Mr. Micham's art. Jesus fucking Christ. A certain case 7 years ago. Tell us what case. Let me say one thing, Mr. Attorney, and you can quote me on this. I can't talk about that case.
Well, why not?
It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalists reveal sources only over his dead body. End quote. So what'll it be? Gonna strangle me? Dead man don't tell tales, Mr. Attorney.
Sounds pretty determined not to talk. And the chances of breaking his will aren't looking good.
Break him, break him.
Where do I go from this, man? The victim, Drew Micham, had an aversion to reporters. Boy, I guess not even my considerable charms did much for him. Till I finally got my thumbs up, that is.
Maybe you can elaborate on that for a bit for us? Exactly what sort of story was this?
Oh, a little one, like I said. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing in between. End quote. I might have suggested I had a lead on this particular story, but I didn't threaten or cajole or nothing, honest.
So a suggestion was enough to get an interview. Mr. Micham must have really wanted to keep it under wraps. On the one hand, we have your story, and on the other, this letter. What makes you think the two are related?
Oh, well, I was just saying it's possible. Call a reporter's intuition, end quote. Hey, I say a lot of things. You're going to pick all of them apart, be my guest.
All of them? No, just the incredibly suspicious ones.
Are you seeing anything else to add about Mr. Micham?
Just how amazing was Mr. Micham's talent?
Huh? Wait, boy, I mean, hey, he's a star, man, a star.
The flow of his brush is like a great undulating river across the canvas. Artist paints light up studio like sun, end quote.
This guy's full of wacky gestures. But that one just now was wackier than usual. Looks kind of nervous to me, Apollo.
Definitely. I'm sensing something different than before here. Maybe it's time to bring out the you-know-what.
That's just something that's a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, okay. I don't see anything. Where the fuck do I go with this? Do I present? Oh, I know what I do. Oh, I have to do this. Objection! Nope. On the one hand, oh no, how do I do this? Fucking Christ, man. I'm sitting here thinking about it and I'm stumped. I don't know where to approach this from. really is. That's what I tried to do, but oh, I did the wrong painting like a fucking idiot.
Objection!
Nope, I am an idiot.
Hold it!
Well, let me do this again. I think so. If you could just look it up. It is a perceive. What the fuck? What else can move? What does that mean? Not necessarily the looking away? No, because I have to choose a specific line. Is it the whole line?
Gotcha!
Is that it? Mr. Brushel, you're hiding something. Oh, Jesus. Don't you almost let me out. You're gonna I got a heart attack. Sorry, it's just the way you were moving just now. It was particularly suspicious. What's that supposed to mean? So you said I'm just sort of averagely suspicious? Sorry, my mistake. You're fine. I know I'm onto something here. Time to focus. I fucking... It's not on the head? I'm so fucking confused. What the fuck is this? Oh, never mind. But where? Is he I don't think that's sweat. I'm pretty sure that's just shadow. Am I like stupid or something? Cause like is it? Oh! I didn't even fucking notice that. What the fuck? Ew. 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 Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Sweat much, Mr. Brushel? Yeah, well, a man can't help with his glands, you know? It's more than that. When Mr. Misham's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets. You're hiding something about his talent. That's ridiculous. Evidence time. Let's show where Mr. Misham's true talent lay. Just so happens I have evidence showing the talent mentioned in that letter.
Take that!
I get up and wonder what the coin is supposed to be. Oh my fucking god, what do you mean? Shit.
Take that!
This painting was found in Mr. Misham's studio. There are two problems with this painting. The first is it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. The second is that there was another painting in the studio which looked exactly like this one, except it was only half done. Then we have a letter discussing a payment of $100,000, which suggests a certain business operation, the business of making forgeries. Isn't that someone from, like, doesn't that it? Oh, I know what he looks like. He looks like oh no, he looks like from SpongeBob. Fuck. Oh, what's the fish? Fuck. There's a fucking fish from SpongeBob. No, is it? There, yeah, I found it. He looks like this dude. No, wait, hold on. He looks like that dude. He looks like this dude. That's all. That is all, Your Honor. Man, I thought there was supposed to be no one in the what? I thought the jury wasn't supposed to be in there. Everyone, please, everyone! Can we keep this private, please? This is my story, my scoop!
Forgery, that's a serious crime.
Drew Misham is known as an artist these days, but there were rumors he dabbled in other kinds of art until a few years back.
Another art being forgery?
Drew Misham was talented, alright? Talented at making precise, detailed fakes. A fact that certain criminal elements were quick to discover. Criminal elements? What? You can't seriously be talking about... Exactly! I'm talking about forging evidence! Oh. Oh. The rumor started circulating 7 years ago.
So 7 years ago, so are we to understand that this letter, this payment of $100,000 was for...
Exactly! Forged evidence nets tiny profit, end quote! Oh my god, did Phoenix cash that in? I think Phoenix paid for this forged evidence. Possibly, maybe.
Order, order! Why, it's like our victim was living a double life.
This is my chance. So the victim had ties to the criminal world, right? He could have had plenty of enemies we know nothing about. This is my first time hearing of this criminal world. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted our investigation. But how do you explain all this money? You have to admit there's a possibility of some illegal activity here. But there is no proof tying this letter to our case. Our case was and remains simple from the beginning. Only the defendant could have poisoned that mugs that night. And you, of course. Hey, the only thing I poison is my pen when I'm writing reviews.
Mr. Brusher, your testimony to this point has been quite unreliable. It doesn't speak well of your reporting acumen.
What are you talking about? My journalism is rock solid. Journalism's so solid you can stand an elephant on it. End quote.
In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of your testimony. If we can ascertain the situation in that studio from the recap, the trial is over.
Apollo, what is he talking about? The cross-examination showed Mr. Brushell didn't have reason of means to poison him. As long as there are no other suspects, then the killer had to be Vera, that's what. This next testimony is our last chance.
Mr. Brushell, your testimony, please.
The only other person in the studio that night was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She's admitted as much herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. And nothing left that studio after he died. Nothing. Clearly, the only one who couldn't have poisoned him was his daughter. And as testimony, clear, succinct, and without room for doubt.
Oh, shucks. You really think so? I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice. You may begin your final cross-examination.
Right. Still have one trump card left to play, and I won't let this trial end until I use it. Ugh, the person that night was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She admitted as much herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. Nothing left the studio after he died. Nothing.
Hold it!
Not one thing. You're sure?
Yeah, I'm sure it sure can be.
Well, with one exception.
What exception? What?
Journalist Spark Brushel does interview. Leave studio. End quote. Oh, come on. It's a joke. Get it? Not funny, I know, but still. Did someone leave the studio that night? Why does that sound familiar? Where have I heard something like that before? Where have I heard something like that before?
Now we've proven our witness as a comedian of sorts, I'd like to turn our defense attorney before returning to the testimony. Do you have any idea what, if anything, might have left the studio that night?
I think one thing might very well have left the studio that night, actually. A certain something that has vanished from the crime scene.
By which you mean something other than our witness?
Of course. Don't tell me. Vermicham. Believe me, any comic relief I may provide is entirely unintentional.
Then let's see what you've got for us, Mr. Justice.
Well, this thing wasn't at the scene of the crime, so I can't show it to you. But I do have evidence that shows how it could have been taken from the scene.
Take that!
This is the only link between that studio and the outside world.
Hey, letterbox.
What did Mr. Brushel just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter. Yeah, I said that, and yeah, it was true. Furthermore, you went on to tell us that he put the letter into a yellow envelope and put it in the letterbox.
Ah.
The very same letterbox was empty. In other words, that night the yellow envelope disappeared. Ah, yes, intriguing. So an envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing. Huh?
There's a point, Mr. Justice. What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Micham. Is it really important that the envelope this witness says he saw disappeared?
Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me.
Very well then, the witness will add this to his testimony.
You got it! I still think this fails to change anything on forehead. I wouldn't be so sure. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. This is exactly the opening I've been looking for.
Hold it!
Nothing could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from that studio, and you were hiding that fact from us. Yes, well, actually. I don't argue the possibility that the letter disappeared from that studio. But our forehead, isn't there a much more serious question before us? Right, how Mr. Micham was poisoned, I know. But Mr. Brushel's testimony has changed, which means the facts of the case have too. And what he's told us means something entirely different now. I'm starting to think. Jesus Christ, I butchered the thing of that. Let's keep thinking, Apollo. The only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter.
Hold it!
You're sure about that? Oh, to be really, really precise, I was busy gobbling mint candies the whole time. One of those candies might have been poisoned.
Objection!
Yet at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragrance of mint fills the room. And no mint residue was found. It's a long shot anyway. Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. You think the victim ate, drank, or otherwise ingested something other than coffee?
Well, Mr. Justice, maybe you have some kind of proof.
The possibility is there, I can feel it. Just maybe not prove it, not yet. The possibility isn't going to cut it, not now. Mr. Bisham ingested that poison via a route other than the coffee. Proof is possible. Here goes nothing. You do understand what we need, yeah? Proof, Airforehead, not possibilities. Of course. And Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand, I'm ready to give you that proof. What did you say? I have proof of the disappearing envelope. As I'm writing a letter, I did.
Which was picked up by the mailman, I assume?
Of course, which means that envelope had a stamp on it.
Stamp? Ah!
As we all know, stamps come with dried glue on the back. In order to use the glue, you have to wet it by licking the stamp.
Objection!
No one worth talking to actually licks his stamps in days and age. Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead after all.
Objection!
Okay, so he licks his stamp. But wait, how does that explain the atrocanine on the rim of the coffee mug?
Objection!
If he licked the back of a poisoned stamp, the poison would get onto his tongue, yes? What would happen if he put the coffee mug to his mouth, Those traces on the mug weren't the killer's doing, it was the other way around.
What?
I'm bullshitting all of this. The coffee mug didn't poison Mr. Misham. Mr. Misham poisoned the coffee mug himself.
Order, order!
I don't understand what's going on right now. Because didn't he just say that he can't prove it?
But that doesn't, does it?
Recall, if you would, atrocanine is a slow-acting poison, yes? The poison entered his body when he put the stamp on that envelope, but his time wasn't up until the very moment he touched his lips to that cup of joe.
You have something to add, Mr. Bushel?
Uh-oh, his nose is picking up another scent. As I believe I mentioned earlier. Well, that's the thing, see, after he put his letter on that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something. Yes, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp, end quote. But you know, I don't seem to remember him ever finding one. Maybe
Maybe he just ran out.
Incidentally, we searched the desk drawer at the scene of the crime. There were no stamps, not a single one.
That does pose a problem. How will you prove that the stamp was coated with poison?
Actually, I'm glad no other stamps were found. It makes proving the stamp he used was poison possible. Good show, good show. You can't even prove there was a stamp assassin in the first place.
Well, let's hear what the defense has to say anyway. Where is your evidence that proves the existence of this poison stamp?
Take that!
Well, that certainly is a cute little frame, and by little I mean really little.
It was on the victim's desk, Your Honor. Quite empty, as you can see for yourself. I noticed that too during my inspection, so what? Apparently you weren't as observant as you should have been. You see, when you saw this frame, it was missing something quite important.
Missing?
Yes, a pale bluish stain on the inside of the frame. Atrocanine residue. What? Why was I told about this? The frame is only 2 inches square. The face of the frame is even smaller, maybe an inch wide at most. You aren't saying. Oh, but I am. Tell me, what fits in such a small frame? A commemorative stamp, perhaps?
Order! 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 The poison stamp was in this frame.
Impossible.
Prosecutor Gavin.
Why would he put something like that on his desk? Don't tell me he had it there so he could commit suicide if the mood struck. You know, can I say something? I'd have thought, see?
What, Mr. Bushell? And please stop jittering around like that.
The victim was a forger, right? There's a lot of money in that line of work. Forger's friends makes enemies too. End quote. So the poison stamp might have been a murder weapon aimed at him. Oh, rich. That's rich. Leave the ridiculous flights of fancy to the Gavinier song lyrics, please. Finally, something we agree on. The stamp was a murder weapon. Nonsense. Murder is a simple business. Who would go to such lengths? No one. Oh, I disagree. Come again? Recall, if you would, the victim's reclusive lifestyle. Drew Misham hid from the world. He avoided meetings. His only contact with the outside world was the mail.
The mail?
Now, if you wanted to kill someone you couldn't meet but you knew read letters, a stamp would be the perfect weapon. Jesus. Ridiculous. There's your proof. I want proof. Show us evidence that this poison stamp was sent to him as a murder weapon. I might not have evidence, per se, but things are finally starting to come together. What is it, Apollo? Your fists are trembling. I think I know what happened. I don't believe it, but I can see it. I think I know how Mr. Misham was killed.
Well, fill us in, Mr. Justice.
A certain piece of evidence points to the truth, Your Honor. I can show you how someone with the intent to kill sent Mr. Misham the stamp of death.
Take that!
Isn't this the envelope? The one from 7 years ago?
Think about the text of the letter again. There were 2 pages in the envelope. This is page 1. And this is page 2. I want to draw your attention to one phrase in particular. Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. The enclosed stamp, Your Honor.
Ah!
In other words, if I have this straight, the stamp, poison on the stamp, lick, lick, gasp, end quote. Now, what if he had done exactly as the letter asked? He would sign the document, put it in the envelope, and put the stamp on it, right? Then he would put it in his letterbox. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed between affixing the stamp and mailing the letter. But the clock started ticking, and when the time came, he drew his last breath, and the murder weapon would be taken away from the scene.
Quite conveniently, thanks to the postal system.
Not basis to the second guitar. Such a splendid imagination you have, our forehead. Let me confirm one thing with you, if I might. So, this poison stamp was inside this envelope from 7 years ago. Yeah? Is that what you'd have us believe, really? Well, it is a little bit of a stretch, but there's a possibility. Yes, a very small possibility. How small, I wonder? A poison stamp in this envelope. A stamp that then became a murder weapon. How do you intend to prove this seeming coincidence? Well, 7 years ago, and we don't even know who sent that letter. And your answer is silence. I see. Very well, I move to... It's not nice to pick on the Fraulein, Clavier. Oh shit, is it the other guy? What? What the fuck just happened? Emma.
Well, like my Christoph Gavin impression? Did I sound like him?
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Just fuck yourself. No, that's... They're teasing us. He's got to be back somewhere in this case. There's no way he's fucking done. They're fucking with us. Don't quit your day job. Don't you have a crime scene to be looking after, Fraulein Detective? Someone had to come dig you all out of the mess you're making of this case. Mess? You know, none of this would happen if you just trusted in science a little more. You can find out if that stamp was in that envelope easy. Get to explain yourself, Fraulein Detective. Glare at me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all in the residue, right? That's right, the poison detection spray.
Produce the red envelope at once. You can open it on the authority of the court.
Fuck. Oh, yeah! Thank God.
Well, would you look at that?
No mistaking it. That's atropine residue.
I don't believe it. A murder weapon from the past. Now, 7 years later, it bears its fangs at last.
Absolutely outrageous. Tell me why. Ain't nothing but a heartbreak. Why didn't this murder take place 7 years ago? Well, here's one possibility. Maybe Mr. Micham figured it out.
Figured out what?
He realized that the person who sent that letter wanted him dead, so he sent his reply with a different stamp.
And put his decisive evidence in a frame? Are you still here?
Can I make a statement here on the record? I sparked Razor Toothbrush. I'll claim this scoop is mine. I drew Micham killed in cold blood by sender of 7-year-old letter, end quote. No, maybe something more succinct. Star falls after 7-year delay, end quote.
Order! Order! I see no room for further argument here, though I admit this is all coming as quite a shock. To think that the murder weapon reached his mouth after 7 years. Stamp his ticket straight to afterlife, end quote.
I think the witness is a bad influence on our judge.
I see no need for further debate on this matter. The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant.
Apollo? I think we just won.
Very well, this court finds the defendant.
Is this a bright future of our legal system?
Prosecutor Gavin?
A ticket to the afterlife from 7 years ago. Tickets for Gaviner's shows are invalid after 2 weeks.
But it doesn't make any sense any other way.
It boggles my mind that so many people haven't noticed this. There's a fatal contradiction in their forehead's claim. A contradiction? A poison stamp was placed in this envelope 7 years ago. Thereupon it was framed until now. If that's the case, then why would Drew Micham have done what he did? Emma explained that. He must have realized it was poisoned. Therein lies the rub. 7 years ago, as a forger, Drew Micham sends a trap and puts a stamp in a frame. I do not debate this, but this begs the question. Why, 7 years later, did he use that stamp on the night of the murder? Surely you don't mean to suggest that Mr. Micham simply forgot. He put the murder weapon in a frame on his desk for 7 years and forgot. You expect us to believe he sprang the trap on himself?
While I admit this is all quite shocking myself, it does seem highly unlikely that he would fall afoul of a trap that had been sitting on his desk for 7 years.
Apollo! I don't think we're winning anymore. I'm glad to see we're all back in the real world now. Welcome back to reality. We've been waiting for you.
Objection!
Okay, then how do you explain the poison stamp that was in this envelope? The poison stamp. Where exactly is this poison stamp again? Have you brought it to court for us? I see no proof that such a thing ever existed.
Objection!
What about the atrocanine residue, huh? Oh, I agree, that does seem to be an atrocanine residue. But our forehead is certainly no stamp. Yeah, but even if your precious poison stamp did exist, Drew Micham never would have used it. That is all. Ugh.
I believe we've come to a conclusion. All right?
Apollo, were we wrong the whole time? I can't believe it. The poison traces matched up. It can't be coincidence.
I'd like to bring some closure to this issue sometime this year. Mr. Justice,
Yes, Your Honor?
let's review the facts and see where we stand. 7 years ago, Drew Misham received a red envelope. There were traces of the poison atropine on the document inside that envelope. A similar trace was also found at the crime scene, on this tiny picture frame. The defenders indicated the possibility of a yellow envelope, an envelope that left the scene of the crime with a poison stamp on it.
Yes, but even if this envelope contained a poison stamp, and Drew Misham, knowing this, put it in a frame, he would never have used that stamp.
I'm afraid you're right, which means there is a fatal flaw in the defense's case.
I haven't been on the wrong track. I haven't been on the wrong track this whole time, I'm sure of it. The traces of atrocanine, the envelope, the frame, and Drew Misham's mysterious death. They're all connected somehow.
Well, Mr. Justice, do you have a conclusion for us?
The defense stands by its case, Your Honor. We've seen that the logical outcome of the evidence makes no sense, which means that one of our clues must be a fake. Ah, a fake clue. Fascinating. And if he finds this fake, your wild fantasies will prove quite reasonable, yeah? The fake clue that's thrown us off the poison's trail is none other than... What if it wasn't Drew? Okay, Nick, please explain your crackpot theory because I'm so confused right now, I'm actually willing to believe it. Someone pretending to be Drew? Shit. It's... Yeah, of course it's Drew.
The victim was a fake clue? I'm afraid I don't understand.
I'll explain. We have an envelope, a frame, and a mug linked by poison. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the victim himself. Congratulations, you've completely lost me. So this fake evidence is none other than the master of fake himself is a forger? It makes a good story, I'll give you that. The fake clue. Fakes. Forgeries. Ah! I know that face. That's the I just had an idea face. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm going with it anyway. What if our forger is the fake? Come again? 7 years ago, our forger sniffed the trap and stepped aside. 7 years passed. Now the forger stumbles into that very same trap and dies. Why?
That's what I want to know.
Because the forger who was killed was a fake. Here we are again. The victim was a fake? One forger smelled the trap. One forger fell into the trap. That's two forgers, and one of them was a fake. So you are telling us that Drew Misham's victim was a fake. Well, if he was the fake, who was the real forger? You'd better not be claiming there was some kind of switcheroo.
I'm afraid you're going to have to back up your story, Mr. Justice. Show us who the real Drew Misham was.
If Drew Misham wasn't the real forger, there's only one other person it could have been. Understood, Your Honor. Forger Drew Misham was himself a forgery. The real forger was... Are we going for it? There can only be one explanation, really. The real identity of the forger known as Drew Misham is none other than his only daughter, Vera Misham.
Order, order, order! Mr. Justice, this is going out on a limb, even for you.
I kind of agree. I mean, Vera, a forger? Let's consider it before you write it off entirely. If you look at the paintings in the studio, one fact becomes quite clear. Forgery had been taking place in that studio for quite some time. The forger wasn't caught in that trap 7 years ago. This can only mean that the one who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger.
Well, actually, that does make a certain kind of sense.
One more thing. Only 2 sets of fingerprints were found in the forger's studio. Drew Misham's and Vera Misham's. If we know that Drew Misham wasn't the forger, that leaves only one possibility by process of elimination. The forger was very méchant. Well? She's not 11, is she? She's 19. What the fuck are you talking about? Does she look 11 to you? Oh, right. Well, it'd be 12, but... Although, to be fair, it's a lot more considerable. It's a lot more reasonable to think that a 12-year-old could be a forger than a 14-year-old could kill someone with a 45 caliber revolver. Fascinating.
Very méchant. You've been paying attention to the trial so far.
Let's just ask her and be done with it. Shall we? Who are you? Who is the forger, Drew Michon? Was that an expression of emotion I saw on her face? She's staring holes into Prosecutor Gavin's face. I'm used to being stared at by Frauleins, I believe me. So they usually talk to me too. Tell us, were you the one who forged those works of art? She's scared of his brother, I think.
Yes.
So the forger Drew Michon was you?
Yes. It was me.
What? What?
The court was in an uproar, and it wasn't coming down. We had to break for a 10-minute recess. Well, fucking Christ. Okay. I really want to keep going, but I feel like my voice is kind of at the breaking point right now. And if I keep going, I might not be able to do D&D tomorrow. So I'm going to end the stream here, even though I really want to see what happens next. But I'd like to be able to speak tomorrow. So, I am going to be sitting in Discord just chilling. I don't know how. I'm just going to be there to chill, really. I might not even be speaking. But so if you guys want to come along, just join me in Discord. That'd be awesome. Otherwise, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Thank you everyone for coming today. It was fun. I always like streaming, and I can't wait to get to the next part of the stream. I will see you guys soon. Probably going to go take a shower, and then I'll be hopping into Discord if you guys want to join along. So thank you very much for coming. Have a wonderful night, and have a wonderful life. Be good to each other. Bye-bye.